but we have Bryan Troianello. Is that close?
Troianello.
Troianello? Oh, it's an I, not a J. My bad. Okay. So how are you, man? You're on vacation?
Yeah, I just like a quick getaway in San Antonio. I live in Houston, so on Thursday, my wife and I were like, let's get out of town. And I have two kids. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and we just got out of town and we're staying at one of the resorts. And there's a really good gym here. The Muscle Factory, Roland owns it, and so I know I was gonna get some training in still. So, just weekend trip.
Yeah. Isn't that such a bodybuilder thing to do? Is when you're on vacation to try to find like a really cool gym around there?
Yeah, I mean that's when I travel. There's two things I always look for. It's a good gym and food.
And
So
food. I remember when I went to Key West, I tried going to that really cool gym in Key West in Florida. Yeah, but it didn't work out. But for a brief overview for the fans that are watching, welcome back to the Bodybuilding News Network. Now, Bryan, when was the first time you competed? I think I saw 2014 was your first NPC show?
probably I did. Probably before that, probably 2012. I competed natural a couple times, and then 2014 I did Atlantic States because I grew up in New Jersey, and that was the biggest show around was Atlantic States. That's what it was, still in Tribeca, and that's probably what you saw was 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, like a week after that, and that was probably the first time I was like really in shape. I did the show after.
Okay. Yeah, I've got some photos from the 2014 South Jersey Classic. I'll put up on the screen for you guys in the recording. But I mean, yeah, you started out as a light heavy, and then within what 7 years, math is hard for me. Now you're probably one of the better super heavyweights pushing for that pro card in 2021. How did you get to that point?
Just being consistent. That's really all it is. It's no real secret. It's just, I mean, I said it before on vacation, and one of the things that I, chose vacation was I knew the owner. I texted him telling him I was coming to town to come train. So I don't have all my food with me. It's just part of my life. So,
right.
Even all hang out with our pros or so.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something a lot of you guys have said.
Years of just doing it. That's really all.
And consistency, always having a plan. I always like to ask this one. How do you plan for a show? Is it something like a 1 year out plan with you and your coach and your team? Or is it more of like what you're going to be doing a couple years out?
Usually I pick the show probably a year. This time I hadn't competed in 2 years because I knew I needed to grow, and I definitely did. I put on like almost 20 pounds of stage muscle. And I do everything myself. I definitely, I train with Hunter, and he's a second eye, and he definitely has a lot of input. But, in terms of planning and stuff like that, I mean, it really has to do with my wife and my kids and timeline with that. So that's why North America has worked really well, because, it was in between the shows of, people that I help. It was a place that was easy for my parents to drive to from New Jersey. And it just works schedule wise with, my wife switching jobs and stuff like that. So, I think that really comes in a factor. I've never planned a show and then not done it. It's, if I pick a show, I end up just doing it. So,
okay. I like how you kind of broke down like the strategic thought process going through it with you and your kids, your wife.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I mean, it's, it has to do with my wife and my kids. When I go, to be honest with you. And in
Yeah.
terms of training, I mean, I plan everything and being consistent with my training and my nutrition and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think that's really where the progress is being very meticulous with, I've logged every single workout. Even I was on vacation, I logged, all the different machines and the progression on those and stuff. And,
Mhm.
trying to keep similar exercises in and going forwards.
Yeah. I'm from my foxhole, from my fighting position, you're one of those really methodical guys when you talk about training. Just looking at the footage with you and Gasp and you and Hunter training, and we'll talk about that for sure. What's your philosophy on training? What's your philosophy on like bro splits, progression, intensity? I've been trying to look into mesocycles and understanding that. What's your thought process going into when you're trying to build a, let's say, like a month progression?
Yeah, cool. So I think the first thing you should consider is, really assess your physique, see like where you're lacking, and what body parts you want to bring up, your balance, all that kind of stuff. And then that's how you should build your actual, how you split up your training. Right. And as long as you're keeping track of your training very meticulously with your volume and everything else, then you can tailor, because it's not just about like that workout, it's about the workouts, in the future. Right. So, I'm really keeping track of, but here's an example, right? So if I'm like really deep into the off season, so a lot of drawback offsets, stuff like that. As I'm getting closer to a contest or my coverage is down for whatever reason, I'll be taking those back offsets out. So I actually dictate all the volume after the top set. So I have a work up to whatever my top set is, and I'm keeping track of that. And then if I'm progressing with that, then I'll keep in the volumes dictated after those top sets. Does that make sense?
So how many reps? So what do you mean by volume? Is it by reps or is it by poundage?
So depending on the exercise, right? So like if I want to like hit like 10 reps with a squat,
Mhm.
right? If I hit 12, I might add weight the next week. If I dropped, maybe I'll take out, like if I had a back off set after that, then I'll take it out, right? If I'm getting closer to a contest and recovery's down, I'll just be doing just straight sets leading into the contest.
Right.
So always trying to, um, like the terms of volume, it's always after that top set those are the sets that I'm manipulating.
Okay. Hmm.
Um,
It,
so in terms of like bro split, push pull split, I mean, like I said, how I split up the training has to be doing with like your schedule, what do you need to grow, all that kind of stuff. I'm not really like care so much about, I think for myself, more push pull or some kind of modified, just because I like doing a little bit more frequency,
mhm.
weighing it more frequency. So like if I want to bring up my arms, I'm hitting triceps and biceps twice a week, basically. I can't really do that with like a bro split.
Mhm.
So I think that all depends on, but I'm doing like, I have one day where I'm doing like back and hamstrings and biceps and adductors. And that's like a really hard taxing day because of deadlifting and all that kind of stuff. It's not really like so
Wow.
much of like,
Back and hamstrings in the same day. That's
that's the day that I deadlift.
okay. All right. So okay. So that's how you now do you like to I watched an interview with you and Hunter and you guys talked about like manipulating intensities. Is that something you guys think about beforehand is like rate of preserved exhaustion or the RPE? Do you incorporate that into your training or is it more of just like going until you feel like the muscle is worked?
I know exactly how much reps I got with what weight the week before. And my goal of that day is to beat that number.
Okay.
No matter what, while keeping my form. Right. So most important thing is to standardize the rep as much as possible. So, I think especially as like the better bodybuilder I get, the more so I standardize the rep, because then I can actually track my progression. Right. So keep the rep as standardized as possible and try to, really beat that number from the week before. Obviously, as I'm getting ready for a show or like, I'm a recovery, the goal might be just try to keep that number up too much. But I don't, unless it's like the week before the show, I absolutely don't hold a rep back or hold a rep in reserve. I'm absolutely trying to go to failure on that top set. And I'm absolutely trying to go failure on that back off set, which I know exactly what the number is because I'm keeping track of everything. Weeks.
Wow.
Months.
Okay.
So.
And do you go back
and then if I'm not being the
logs?
person, or I'm slipping, that absolutely. So that's like if I need a deload or like really it's a week off, I'm a lot better at taking days off than kind of doing a deload. Or then maybe I'll just do just straight sets instead of doing, a back off, or like even like I said, my recovery time, that back off set might be a rest pause set, right? That's depending on how I'm progressing on those top sets. So I think that kind of answered your question a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of it. No, that was good. I know the fans always appreciate those in-depth looks into, are those words? An in-depth look into your training. So we appreciate that. Now, nutrition-wise, well, actually, no, let's stay on training because I really like talking about training. A lot of people have a negative connotation on, I know Fuad Abiad, I know he calls them like pro splits. But most people that are, and maybe it's just them being not educated, they have this negative connotation between bro splits and pro splits. And if you're not doing a modified push-pull legs and you're leaving gains on the table. What's your thought on that?
Like I said, it has to do with like what you need to bring up, right? Let's say you have a crazy wheel, you have crazy legs, right? And you need to train it once a week or every other week. Like, why are you married to one way or the other? So I think it really has to do with like what you need to bring up your physique and then frequency. And I've had an arm day in, but let's say if I'm doing an arm day, at best I could do maybe 4 sets of biceps. I'm getting more buy-in throughout the week.
Sorry, I'm doing it. You cut out.
I keep getting emails from clients.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about 4 sets of biceps.
I have a bro split. I'm training arms, for example, right? And this thing that happened when we have our own gym and we don't have like any that have to deal with like. So before we had our own gym, we had like an arm day in, right? And really, once we were very efficient doing the exercise we wanted, it took almost as long driving to the gym than training arms, right? So we took the arm day out and put it in the other days, and I essentially like doubled the volume throughout the week by taking the arm day out. So even if I was, let's say, like 4 sets of biceps and 4 sets of triceps on the arm day, that's kind of a longer arm day. Now I'm doing 3 sets a week and total throughout the week. I'm actually volume throughout the week doing more of a push-pull workout. Does that make sense? So it really, I just schedule what you have to bring your body up. I'm not really married in one group. It's more about intent, keeping track of your volume. I think it's important. I think you're leaving stuff on the table if you're not keeping track of your training and how you're performing.
Yeah.
I think that's when you're not specifically how you're splitting your training up.
Mhm.
That's not
Okay. Yeah, I think I took away most of that. The connection was a little rough, but you used to train biceps or at least arms on a separate day, and then at some point you're like, well, there's no point in me even doing that since the traffic and travel is taking almost as long as the training session is. So then you moved that arm training into another day, and then you made that day a rest day.
all right.
I can hear you.
So for the sake of that all being cool, for the sake of that all being gone, I think you know, the way you should set up your training is permitting your schedule. You know what you need to work on your body, and you know, I do think having a little bit more frequency is better than just having a straight row split because you get more volume throughout the week. So I do think, you know, not straight push pull legs and not straight row split, because push pull legs is probably a little bit too much frequency for legs, and your CNS training hard enough. So
Yeah,
somewhere in the middle usually works the best.
Especially I don't want to stay on it too long, but like when people say push pull legs, that's the first thing I think of is when they say push and then legs, my back just hurts. So
yeah, exactly.
If you're a novice just training and you have that ability to recover, you could maybe do like a pull push legs rest and then do another cycle. But it's really like what Brian's saying here. You know, take it from the professional, like specificity. If you need to work on your legs, you need to work on your back, maybe have 2 back days. Think about the exercises you're doing and be methodical about your training. So that's kind of that big takeaway from that one. Oh, takeaways. That's a perfect lead in. Brian, what was your big takeaway from your last show from the North Americans?
Yeah, North Americans.
What was your big takeaway from placing in that first call out in the super heavies?
I could have eaten more.
Eaten more.
I could have eaten more. Show.
So what does that mean? Does that mean you were flat or?
I definitely feel I did a really excellent job. Yes. I'm really happy with it. I just think, you know, I went back on my diet right afterwards and I kind of played with a couple of things, and it wasn't necessarily like because I did anything wrong. It was just the amount of time that it took for us once we were there and getting on stage was so long. So, you know, prejudging 8:00, and I probably didn't get on stage until about 1:00 in the afternoon for prejudging. And, you know, I probably ate 300 plus grams of carbs backstage. You know, it's just, and I just not to flatten out. And, you know, I'm like, oh, is my stomach good? You know, because there's like that whole, like, I need to eat enough, but I also want to keep my stomach tight. And, you know, for finals, I came back definitely tighter, but looking at the pictures, it's like, well, I was definitely tighter and my skin was tighter and everything like that. But, you know, probably didn't get on stage until almost midnight because it was super and standing around a long time, just flattened out again. So I think I don't really know how to, probably just going to eat a little bit more, but I mean, I did a really good job. I think that the next time that I do a national show, I'll get a pro card. I think I'm really close. And I think I was really close this last time.
Yes, I think you're very close. The judges that know you.
Definitely there. So
what's
a lot of really good feedback from judges.
Yes.
They just said a little bit more.
Yeah. So did they say that there's anything that need to be improved, or were they just saying like, hey, just come in kind of what you were saying, eat more, and just, you know, the next show will be yours?
They said bring my arms up a little bit. You know, they liked my balance and everything like that, but he just said, you know, another year, then you'll be, you know, you're right. He was like, you're right there. It's just a little bit more. So, it was definitely positive feedback from the judges, and definitely liked how he looked. I just, like I said, I feel like I needed just a little bit more, and the amount of progress that I put on just the last show, if I do half that, I will be there. Because, with that, he still didn't know how much progress I made between shows too. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And you said you put on 20 pounds of stage weight since the last time you competed, given that 2-year off season. So that's a huge improvement.
Yeah. And I think also, like, another takeaway was in terms of prep, I'm always the person, I never have to be told to really step on the gas. It's always kind of ease off, because I always want to be there, which is why also, like you said before, is you pick a show and you do, it's like, yeah, because I always get there. It's never the problem. Being in shape is always really just doing too much, right? So I definitely think, like, for example, doing the stairs when I was fat helped a lot, but towards the end I pulled the stairs out and I did more treadmill, more lower impact cardio. I think maybe I still did, between the Colorado show and North Americans, maybe I could have pulled back the cardio slightly more, and that would have helped me, especially with, like I said, my fullness at the end. Things like that is really, like, when you're there, it's a lot easier to maintain the look than it is, getting there. So it's really hard, especially like when you're doing it yourself, to kind of like have that mentality to kind of pull your foot off the gas when for 16, 20 weeks, all you're thinking about is just being peeled.
Right.
So.
But you've been around, you've been doing this long enough, and you've been doing it yourself, coaching yourself. So you definitely have a good idea on when you need to push on the gas and when you need to kind of back off to hit that right window to peak well. It sounds like you have a good idea of, like, what that is and when you need to do that. So I think you have
fine tuning.
Yeah, fine tuning it. I don't really know what you can do for those long shows. Like you said, you were backstage like all day, all the way up till midnight. Like, is that typical for the nationals? It sounds like they're usually pretty long shows.
Yeah, I think North Americans might be a little bit bigger. I mean, there's a lot of people there just because it's Canada and Mexico too. Yep. I think part of it was like, they don't let anybody glaze you except for people that are working there. And if you're a competitor, like, what you want to be doing is laying down backstage, not moving until the last second. And once you get the glaze on, then you can't put your clothes back on. You got to, like, stand up and wait in line and all that. And the people that were doing the glazing wanted to leave, and the heavyweights weren't even on yet. And the heavyweights was a big class. Yeah. And they're like, well, we're home, so if you want to get glazed, you got to get glazed now. And all the supers have, like, got upset about it, but it's whatever. I don't really get upset about things like that because we're all in the same boat, right? So as long as we're all in the same boat, it doesn't matter, right? But all the supers had, like, wait backstage, glaze, standing for like 45 minutes before we went on stage. The other classes had to. So, like, yeah, that makes you flatten out, right? Right. So what are you supposed to do? Especially like the last year of the show, condition, your metabolism was raging. Yeah. Okay. So what do you do about it? Well, just deal with it. Realize that everybody's in the same position, so it doesn't matter. It's even. As long as it's even, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah. So I like how you look at that. If everyone's getting screwed over, then you're all going to be judged equally. Who cares? Yeah, it doesn't matter then. Okay, that's a good way of looking at it, Bryan. What, as we conclude, what's your plan for the off season right now? What are you doing? Right now, I'm on vacation. On vacation, but still have all my food, still cooked all my food, still on track. It's just part of my life. I'm just trying to get better, man. I don't know what I'm doing exactly next. I gotten a fair amount of pressure from a lot of people that I respect to do nationals,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still in shape, so maybe I'll do that.
And that's in
And the
December?
same, that's in December 18th. So it's in 13 weeks from yesterday. And I wanted to see what I looked like after the Olympia, and if I knew I was going to be better, then probably do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely going to be better if I did that show. But at the same time, I'm progressing so well and growing so well right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to slow, so
Mm-hmm.
because probably will get a pro card if I do nationals in December. If I wait a year, I will definitely get one. So
Right.
how I feel because I'm growing right now. I'm really, really
Yeah.
responding well right now. So
Yeah. I mean, maybe it sounds a little weird for people that are just chasing the pro card, but if you're progressing the way you're saying, it sounds like it'd be better for you to just keep the foot on the gas and just roll into a really good prep. Since the judges at your last show, they know how much improvements you made, just come back again next year and shock them again.
yeah,
And definitely get that pro card.
yeah, and that's something that the group, when a group of friends say, and I want to say it's from Lee, but it's chase a pro physique, not a pro card.
Yes. Yep.
That's really what I've done,
Because you're,
especially in a group of people that I'm around. I'm
yeah,
around the world. All my friends are
world class.
at 5 in the world, so
Yeah.
look at that. It's a little bit different than I have a good perception of what I need to look like, right? So
Right. Yeah. That have a pro level physique. I think Ty Jordan, he said something like that before, where it's like it's not about just getting the pro card, but it's not about being a pro, it's about being a competitive pro.
right, and at the end of the day, when I'm all done with this, what I really enjoy more than anything is coaching people. I do love bodybuilding, but I really, really love coaching. And this last prep was pretty easy for me. Like, it wasn't, I don't know, I didn't really have any pickups. That I feel like relatively I got in shape pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was pretty smooth sailing. So as long as that's until the last couple of weeks, but that sucks for everybody, right?
Right.
So, at the end of the day, I really want to say that, I'm one of the best coaches in the world. I've coached all these people, gotten them all in shape, got all these people in Olympia. I'm also pro, and I've gotten myself into shape. And like I said, bodybuilding's still very fun. I had a really, really fun time getting ready for the show. So as long as that's true, I'm going to keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I have, no illusions of being Mr. Olympia or anything like that. I just enjoy it and want to see where my body goes. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. I like that. I have a lot of more questions, but I know your internet's kind of rough. So hopefully we can get you back on the show and dig a little bit more deep into who you are. Because we covered your contest prep pretty well. Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming on. Enjoy your vacation. Gaspari, Hunter, Labrada Nutrition. What you want to plug your stuff before we conclude?
Yeah, man. I mean, in terms of like people that help me out.
Yeah. Your coaching. How can people find your coaching? Do you do it online? Things like that.
So, Standard Training Systems, and you can find me on Instagram, Standard Training Systems. You can email me at thestandardtrainingsystems@gmail.com. That's the big one. So, in terms of people that help me, Labrada Nutrition, Gas, Wolfpack, Bride Foods, Revive, Crown Belts, which are the awesome belts. I don't know if you check those out, but that guy makes them awesome. But yeah, the Standard Training Systems, check that out. That's my coaching. I have some free time because I'm not competing right now, so I have some openings. I do both nutrition and training, and you know how we're talking before about monitoring volume, all that kind of stuff. I will do that for you as long as you're keeping track of it for me. So the standard training systems, that's really the only plug that matters.
All right, man. Hey, Bryan, I appreciate that.
Hopefully I was okay as the first podcast that we're done. So.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was your first one.
Mentioned got some useful information.
Yes, you laid down the hammer of knowledge. So we appreciate you sharing that with us. We appreciate getting to know you, because that's what this channel is really about, is bridging the gap between the fan and the athlete. So Bryan, appreciate you coming on, man. Hopefully we can get you back on in the next couple weeks, next couple months, and talk about, I think I wanted to talk about your family, where you're from, and then we'll maybe dig into the nutrition side of things.
Definitely.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming on again. And that'll do it, guys. Another episode on the Bodybuilding News Network. My name is Saunch, and Bryan Troianello with an I. Troianello. Troianello. I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, okay. Right.
But that's it, guys.
Found it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's I mean, my last name is a mouthful, but yours, it's got a lot more zing to it.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Take care. Enjoy your vacation. And then that's it, man. I'll talk to you later.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.